How long do you think, if the levy passes, how long will it take to build your numbers back up where you have the officers that you need to cover 24 hours a day and to give you the backup that you need?
Sure. Well, it's going to take us a while. You know, this sounds pretty simplified, but it only took a stroke of a pen to lay off officers.
You lost a few.
But it takes a long time to get them back because we have to advertise, we have to go through a recruitment process, we have to go through a testing process, then a selection process. Then once we select the people, then we have to get them on board, start in-house training. They have to learn the ways of the county. Then they are required by the state to attend 16 weeks at the police academy. And then they return back to us and we give them some additional training before they're actually released to go out on solo patrol. And really, even after they go on solo patrol, it still takes them about another 6 months or so before they start getting to the point where they're not having to call a supervisor or call another deputy to ask questions about how do we handle this. Because unfortunately in our line of work, every day is not the same and new things happen to us and it creates lots of questions. So on average, it will take us about 18 to 24 months before we have officers that are able to come in and do the job with minimal supervision or assistance by other officers. So it takes quite a while. In the jail, it takes a little less time. Their training academy is 6 weeks long, but they still have to go through the in-house orientation. They still have to go through their 10 to 12 weeks of field training, as well as their 6 weeks at the academy. So we get a corrections officer up and going in 12 to 18 months, but it's not a simple job that we have, and it's not something that you can just say, well, there's the patrol car, here's the keys, or there's the jail, here's the keys, and just go do your job. So it's tragic when we lose experienced officers, because every time we lose an experienced officer, approximately $100,000 of your tax money walks out the door when that officer leaves.
In your budget meetings and stuff, are you projecting that any further shortages of money for public safety in the county's budget in the near future?
Thanks, Gary. Yeah, that's a very timely question. As a matter of fact, just this week, the sheriff and I both got information from our administrator that on the public safety side of our budget, it doesn't look like we're going to face any additional cuts for the next fiscal year. That's assuming everything stays static, that nothing changes in wages and benefits. We do have some increases coming in July with PERS, but that's been anticipated. We know that at least we expect a number. Hopefully the PERS board, which we have no control over, doesn't make any significant changes in that projection at this point. And of course, we're always at the mercy of other benefit factors like health insurance, which we all know is an enigma, it's a mystery. So it's almost impossible to be certain about that, but based on the information that our administrator, Greg Hansen, works on, he does his very best to try to get projections from all of those different agencies that are responsible for benefit costs. So at this point in time, it doesn't look like we have any expected significant changes or cuts in personnel. So I think we'll be static for the 15-16 budget year. But of course, we're in a place right now where we have diminished services, and so static isn't good. It just doesn't look like we're going to get a lot worse at this point in time. But you know, that's on the public safety side of things. Of course, we can't tell you yet where we are with regard to mental health, public health, and roads or public works. There are some potential changes there that will be coming, but that's not general fund money. That's a different side of the house.
Commissioner, if I might add to that, while it is good news that it appears that we might be stable through this next fiscal year, it still doesn't relieve me of the issue of I'm only providing 10 hours of patrol, as well as I've got employees that have been contacting me. I got one that's retiring, so I've got to try to attract a new employee to come to work for us. And I also have other employees that have announced that they're seeking employment elsewhere because they're not happy with the fact that they don't have coverage and that our financial future is not very good.
And I think that's an excellent point. Thank you, Sheriff, for making sure to bring that in. Though we are stable, if you all look at this from the perspective of a company that you work for in the private sector, if the managers of the company continue to tell you that they have diminishing revenues because the market's not there for that company, and you've watched over a period of time that key employees have been laid off, it creates a fear factor amongst the workforce that the company they're working for isn't really stable for the future. And we're certainly not in a place where we can make the statement that for the first time in 5 years, we're not making a significant cut. That doesn't bring back any level of hope for those employees, as the sheriff is pointing out, that we've topped the summit here with regard to the problem. It just simply says, well, at this point, we're not in as much danger. But as the sheriff is pointing out, we've had a lot of folks over the last several years, and still currently, that are saying, if I have another opportunity with a more stable company, that's where I'm going to go. So it's another county or a city, even tribe has offered opportunities that look more stable for public safety. So that's a big problem. So I try to bring it back to people in the terms of your coworkers or people you would work with in industry. If they're going to leave the business, they're going to go find another place where they can work that promises them a hopeful future and a retirement opportunity.